very much for sticking with us, and of course, welcome back to the official English broadcast of the Overwatch Pacific Championship, and if DeToNator Gold 3-0 blank, I will shave my moustache. There you go.
Wow.
It's out.
Wow, he said it.
I hope blank weren't listening, because I could totally see them throwing.
Can't even take that one back anymore.
No, it's done. It's there. It's on stream. And,
so these are the guys that got to do it tonight. These guys right here that you're looking at.
Let's meet the guys threatening my facial hair. There have been people.
Not only that, what you can do is put it in like a plastic little bag and then just ship it over to Taiwan.
Ooh. Oh, dude, you're getting weird. Like, okay, people have even made petitions to shave my mustache. Like, people have crusaded for this for a long time, and it's not happened, right? So this is it. I'm putting this one on the line right here, right now. This is the opportunity to get rid of it.
So
nothing is impossible. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, don't let your dreams be dreams, DeToNator.
The fact that we're still super surprised about this just shows how strong Blank are, right? That he would actually make this claim, not just in person to us, which he was doing before.
I like my mustache. It took me a long time to grow.
I kind of thought he was just memeing, but the fact that he said it on stream means he thinks that Blank are definitely going to win. They're not just going to win; they're going to super win.
They're going to super win. They're going to super win. Like, they're going to win so hard.
Note the conditions as well. Didn't have to actually 3-0. I actually want to see what Serenity
Which basically means
here.
the moment Blank win one game.
Let's check this out because I want to check out what Serenity will say.
DeToNator を応援してくれる皆様のために今日も頑張ります。
支持DTN的大家，谢谢支持DTN的大家。今天呢，我们一样会全力加油的。
Thanks for supporting us. We're going to try our best.
也是谢谢大家的支持。这个礼拜我们会给大家一场精彩的比赛。
好的，那等下两队都请尽力喽。那马上把画面交给专业的分析台。
Like how DeToNator was, we're gonna try, guys. We're gonna try. Whereas Blank like, we're gonna win.
What would be amazing is if the news traveled quickly enough, then DeToNator coach said, we're going to take off Pixie's moustache tonight. That's just how fast it is.
Yeah.
And because there's like the pre-written translation as well that would throw everything out, they'd have to like do that as well.
Yeah.
And it's like, usually you might do like the throat cutting move, but his one would just be like this one. Just
Oh, I shouldn't have done that. I just messed up my wax.
That is the worst thing I've ever seen. Wow.
Just the moustache cut.
That's what's gonna happen.
I'm getting nervous now, eh? I'm sweating a little bit, like, whew. Oh man,
you'd be sweating if Serenity got on stage. She's like, you know what, we're not feeling good today. Actually, one of our players is in the hospital. We're playing with 5 members tonight.
All of our players are horribly ill, and they all have hand cramp.
We're fielding in Muselk.
Oh boy, we are. Hey, that's personal. That was unnecessary.
That was rough, dude.
Look,
that was rough.
What do you got against
Oh
Muselk?
my goodness. Muselk's sitting there at home right now like, oh, this guy I've never heard of hates me.
Ever do to you, Smite? I don't understand.
I don't hate him.
It's not even your country that got tanked by him. We live in New Zealand.
I'm just memeing, okay?
Uncalled for. I'm not gonna...
Look.
Oh man! Oh, that was rough. Let's take a look at
I want to mention what we just heard from DeToNator about how we're kind of laughing about saying about how they said, oh, we're gonna try, whereas Blank are like, oh, we're gonna do our best and win. But DeToNator, the other Japanese team, Sun Sister as well, they actually got a couch interview, and during that they were talking to their fans, or almost directly, where they were saying, even though we haven't picked up a win yet, we have been improving, and we hope that our fans can see that. And I think the exact same thing is true for DeToNator. Even though they've picked up 1 win, it was against Sun Sister, I think despite that, DeToNator have been improving as the weeks have gone by as well. Maybe not as much as Sun Sister, but it has been happening.
And I think you're completely right, actually. Like, let's be totally honest. You know, for these two Japanese teams, and even for Fireball as well, right? Right now, in these kinds of matchups, success is fixing past mistakes. It's not winning. That's actually a little bit out of the picture.
Stepping stones, right?
Yeah, we have to live in the real world. Success is fixing up mistakes. So, gentlemen, I kind of want to bring the discussion in that direction now. So, what would be success for DeToNator tonight? Short of actually winning, what are their most recent mistakes that they need to fix up? And actually, while we're doing this, let's just go ahead and refresh ourselves on their lineup. Of course, Delaev, Amikin, Samurai D, Seihata, Yoshiharu, and Dotolov will make up DeToNator. And in a moment, we will get to see Blank as well. So what is success for DeToNator?
Success for DeToNator kind of looks like being able to play toe-to-toe with Blank, specifically on a player level, or even on a team cohesion level, and be able to execute their plans as a team. If their plan is to go in and take an objective, they need to be able to show that properly.
And now Blank, consisting of course, ATAR, Trill, RQT, Gunba, IE, you were up, and Kiki. And don't let those roles fool you. They are much more flexible than that. They should all have flex.
Yeah, I was going to say, everybody should
everyone's
have flex.
They don't have roles. They just flex. Like, have you seen them? They just take their shirts off and flex.
It's just like, did you just assume my role?
Did you just assume my role? Did you just assume my flexing?
Let's actually have a look at the teams, because a little bit more in detail, because Samurai D coming up on the screen here. Main tank so far hasn't really had any changes. Delay rather, whichever way you want to call him. He was the Tracer, now he's playing Lucio.
Yeah, and Saihari has kind of picked up that Tracer role as well as they've transitioned to triple DPS. They've got an interesting kind of flexibility here, DeToNator, and it's interesting that you point out success would be matching Blank on a player-to-player level, because they both have interesting kinds of flexibility, but I would say that every player on Blank can technically be a generalist.
Also, I want to, just before we saw Yoshiharu most played D.Va, wasn't playing it too much in the last weekend. In fact, I think it came up only once. No chance.
You played mainly Soldier, right?
Yeah, because DeToNator, they've been swapping over to more of a triple DPS composition, almost a little bit of a step behind the other teams, but they're still looking at trying to make it work.
Wasn't Yoshiharu the fisherman?
Yes. Still no.
And I also want to correct something as well. You know, success would be to match Blank, sure, but more realistic success for DeToNator would rather look like them being able to achieve the goals in the game. So, for example, if we want to dive onto supports, you actually get those supports. If we just want to kill you up, if we just want to kill ATAR, you can actually achieve that, right? Like, what we see them trying to do, especially if they're running triple DPS, especially if they're running dive, they need to execute whatever the game plan is. If they do that successfully, at least on their own side, from only looking at their own team, they have made steps beyond what they've shown so far.
All right, now let's grab the coin, flip it over in our thumbs, and talk about the other side of that one, which is going to be Blank. So what does success look like for Blank tonight?
Well, last time we saw Blank go up against DeToNator, it was a very different story, because this is day one Blank of the OPC.
Yeah.
That's been very...
Oh, man!
This is on the other side of the round.
Where does the time go?
Weeks ago, right?
I totally forgot about that as well, man.
And this is only the second time they're going to be playing against this team.
That was funky.
So
refresh everyone's memories, Smite. What happened?
I'd like to refresh everyone. Everyone thinking, oh wow, Blank, this Australian team I've heard so much about coming in. And suddenly, they go up against DeToNator.GOLD, this Japanese team which, you know, one of the two from their country come in, and they didn't take a map, so this is going to sound a little bit more dubious. They didn't take a map, but they still really gave Blank a run for their money.
It was a nail-biter.
It did have a lot of Blank fans really shaking in their boots, right? So while Blank still did manage to pick up the victory, it cast questions into fans of Blank's prowess.
Just going to correct you there. I think it had a lot of Blank fans shaking in their jandals.
Yeah, sorry.
To be specific.
Also,
Farmers Web
here's the other thing.
If it weren't for your gumboots.
Here's the other thing. So to start off the tournament as well, it really put DeToNator into a golden light. They at that point kind of look like.
Was that a frickin' pun?
Kind of look like maybe the fourth best team, if not the fifth best team in the competition at that stage. Because look, Machi were then the next team to face Blank in the first week, and they struggled a lot more than DeToNator against Blank. So, I mean. DeToNator looked fantastic going into it, and then they really started to fall off.
And then the thing we sort of picked on from that point on is we chalked basically that and, in fact, a lot of other performances up to day one jitters and teams just kind of getting it right. And it was still oddball for Blank. I mean, they aren't a team that we would expect to have day one jitters. Like, if you said, yeah, their first matchup is against the team that is going to be in the bottom two for the rest of the tournament, we would have gone, that should be a whitewash, but it wasn't. So there is clearly some strength that DeToNator.GOLD can pull out here. And maybe actually they do pull it out again. Like maybe, it's not too far-fetched as much as we have chalked that to day one jitters. And with respect to that, we are going to be hitting up Lijiang Tower. Any thoughts about that?
Just before that, back to your question, what Blank need to do to come out with the best result possible is to cast away any doubts that was anything but a day one performance.
Beat DeToNator into the dust.
If Machi had to demolish Fireball, Blank have to bury DeToNator.
Ouch. Blank have to win so hard that DeToNator lose their one win, and actually tie for last place with Sun Sister. Somehow.
Super win.
So this is so it would be like you almost want to
they
see.
Go back in time.
I know we're playing Lijiang, but you almost want to see Oasis again, and you want to see Blank show what they would have really done on Oasis had they not had day one jitters, and you want to have the ATAR versus Amic and Farah duel again, and you want to also see what would have really happened had ATAR been on top of his game. And you know, let's be honest, Amic had a bit of a highlight reel on that day as well. He probably had the best performance on Farah he has ever had in the whole tournament, because after that, I don't think he's ever had a good performance on Farah. He also hasn't really jumped back onto Farah, but that is also due to him not really being consistent enough to warrant a return on Farah.
We also haven't seen much Oasis. Like, all of a sudden, after about week 3, we just stopped seeing Oasis altogether.
I think it was picked up maybe 3
Oh, hey, Katie
times.
still sees Oasis.
Yes?
Yeah.
That's a bit of a reference, but getting judged for it.
He brought up Muzak, are you kidding me?
Okay, the Muzak World Cup thing is very well known.
Oh my god, please. Okay, so we're going back to China, Lijiang Tower. This is old faithful, this is old reliable.
It is.
I've been here so many times, I practically have residency. So, this is such well-tread territory for both of these teams, so if something happens here, if DeToNator do just have something that they can pull out against Blank that they can't seem to pull out against other teams, what does that look like specifically?
Also, just very quickly, DeToNator are running a different lineup than they were against Blank the last time. Not just in roles, but in different plays as well.
You're right, but I can't remember who swapped. Who did they have before? Because Saihade is now in, and they didn't have him earlier.
I'm trying to remember the full roster, and it does slip my mind a little bit. But,
I keep thinking Night Owl, but I know that's Sun Sister.
No. Well, let's not get them confused with Sun Sister. But anyway, they have swapped Dale. The big one is Delave is now no longer on the Tracer, now on the Lucio. So it is also a different DeToNator, very much so to what we saw in week 1.
Well, okay, do we have any final thoughts before we jump into this one on specifically what we expect to see out of Blank here? Do we see them just playing stock standard, you know, win it the normal way, or do they try out something different?
It's going to be, I believe, Blank sharpening up their knives and just really refining the edges of what they were already doing anyway, which is essentially eat up permanently on Tracer, Trill most likely on Genji, and then ATAR on pretty much any DPS they need. And then, of course, it's going to be Kiki on Winston with Gumber and RQT picking up the Lucio and Ana, or Lucio and Zenyatta.
All right, well, here we go.
Except if it's Control Center.
Control Center indeed. Well, here we go. Trill Smasher of Good Ult's going to be pulling out Old Faithful Reinhardt. And take notice, ladies and gentlemen, that is a disciplines charge. That is how you do it. You don't charge too far, you don't go too deep down that corridor, and already high ground owned and operated by Blank, so now looking to just get a couple of picks early on. ATAR around the backside, looking to just harass, if not get kills, and Yoshiharu out of the mech means that they are off to a solid start. Naturally, as we kind of expected, but actually here's DeToNator starting to swing back. Trill getting a little low. Blank, it's getting a little scrappier than I think they'd like, but they do close out on Yoshiharu at long last, and now picking up Samurai D immediately afterwards means that they are going to get this first cap.
Yeah, this is the first time I've seen Blank running triple tank in a very, very long time. And this is kind of a response to maybe getting Kiki off the Winston, because that was a weakness they showed last week. And with Kiki back on Diva and now Troll back on Reinhardt, maybe this is the Blank that needs to show up.
Yeah, because Trill, for the longest time, has actually been playing a lot of their Genji and their triple DPS, and that's a really early... wow, that's everyone just kind of goes walking into that. But yeah, great ult indeed, but unfortunately unfollowed by Samurai D as the commitment has kind of come through. That was, I think, a good nano boost just to get the extra damage out, so they can now set themselves up into this position where you try and hold at this choke point. They had the ultimates to do it, but they want to just play a little bit more cautiously than that, are backing up a little ways to the point.
And DeToNator need to find a way to get out of this choke for starters, and the Earth Shadow probably was the walk. Okay, that got eaten up by Yoshiharu.
That was, yeah, I was going to say, that is the one ultimate they have to leverage to hold at this point, and then immediately DeToNator throw out their own. They've already got the kills onto ATAR. That was actually really smoothly played. Kiki out of the mech as well, looking to route out Trill and eat you up if they can, so help it, and this will be DeToNator getting the cap back.
DeToNator have done extremely well. That they hit the Earth Shadow, no, they didn't get a follow-up, so that's a mistake they will need to follow up on. But here, Yoshiharu ate up one of IU. He got IU up. That's a bit of a confusing mouthful there.
Mouthful to eat up.
The Graviton Surge, you said this yourself, was something Blank absolutely needed to continue holding DeToNator at the choke. And after that was gone, hey, it's time for DeToNator to be able to bring it back. And they have got the cap. They've got to keep it now. They have ultimates to use here.
Yeah, they absolutely do. And Blank have some to use of their own, so it's really just going to be who gets more mileage. AVRL opening right up, looking for the healers, but
good sound barrier.
Yeah, good, perfectly timed sound barrier. In fact, saving Dodolob's life. Sayhadi already swinging back, getting RQT. They finally do close out on Sayhadi. Now getting Dodolob as well, actually. DeToNator, despite a decent Earth Shatter, not getting the kills to close it out. And Blank, they use all their ultimates, but they do win the fight. That's what really matters, at least for my moustache.
Oh, I mean, DeToNator also use all of their ultimates as well, so it's kind of like a very good trade for Blank. And this is exactly the kind of trade that puts you extremely far ahead when the opponent doesn't actually have any sort of comeback now. The opponent, DeToNator, in this position where once again they have to sort of wait, they have to look for an opportunity to break out. That opportunity is kind of right now with the Graviton Surge to start things off. And
there it
maybe
happens.
sound barrier.
This time it does not get eaten up, and yeah, very quick sound barrier. That is just a nice clean sweep out of Blank. I don't know if I agree with the ultimate there out of Samurai D because they didn't have the numbers to follow up on it at that point, but it was decent, but this should be the cap coming through for Blank. Nobody really from DeToNator to contest this one out, and fairly solidly secured after that first one getting eaten. They sort of went, oh, hope nobody saw that, and went back to it. It's kind of fair and square as well. Like, I'm going to be honest, if that happens to you, like, it's not like you made some great big mistake. Like, you committed something, the other team read it, you know, and they played well. So I don't think Blank would have been like, oh, whoops, what a big mistake. I think they would have just gone, oh, wow, that was well played, cool. Like, moving on.
What Blank needed to expect after that is identify, look, we actually lost one of our main tools to keep the choke. We may need to loosen up our grip just a bit because DeToNator immediately responded after eating that by breaking out of the choke and committing onto Blank and winning that team fight. And Blank, like I said, maybe it was time for them to loosen up the grip and fall back a little bit, reconsolidate and try to figure out how they get back into this because them staying was a little bit too confident.
I don't disagree with you, but I will also, again, you know, we say this a lot, give credit where credit's due, because DeToNator did jump onto Blank quickly enough that it would have been hard for Blank to retreat. So,
it's the air duel. That's the air duel I've been hoping for.
Oh my goodness, AVRL though is winning it handily. I mean, what? Did they just? They just wiped them?
Yeah, you haven't heard the dong.
That was.
The team kill dong. So
that just happened.
That's what I'm calling it. Anyway, AVRL though definitely making up for his debut performance on Pharah against Anakin. So I don't know how long Anakin's gonna last here, specifically because Anakin does not have a Pharah.
Well, right now, Anakin does not have the high ground.
Although last time Anakin actually beat AVRL 1v2, so you know, we'll see. That was last time though. That was a long time
and AVRL is not underestimating his power as well, so here we go. DeToNator, Samurai D getting steadily trained down. They're not going to let DeToNator get any good position in this fight at all, even as they try and avoid AVRL's aerial superiority. He seems to be the one Pharah that's figured out how to shoot onto the point. I say that semi-sarcastically. Like, it's not easy to do that as a Pharah. It does require putting yourself in a risky situation, but Blank are just kind of able to do it without much difficulty, and DeToNator very quick to take these dives to reset these fights, and Anakin swapping off.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, you know, how long was it going to be before Anakin swaps off?
Oh,
straight on to the McCree is probably a good answer. I would have not minded Soldier here either. Would have been an equally good choice, but first damage onto AVRL might just be the option here. They are steadily running out of time, steadily running out of ultimates. Sayhate swapped onto the Hog as well. They're really going for a tight-knit, even counter dive, I would probably say.
Yeah, and I do kind of like that. That's a very nicely positioned rocket barrage, very thin area to kind of throw that one into, and staying alive through the hook as well as being, this is going to be Blank easily winning that one. Like I said, great positioning by AVRL, because that's one of the few routes you can take that really avoids the Pharah altogether, but that is the one window for the Pharah to get in with damage.
And you know, I don't know if DeToNator have enough time to really get this composition off the ground, because they only managed to make the stop at 45%. We're about to hit into the 90 section, and you know, still a res on Blank means this is almost 2 team fights DeToNator need to be able to win.
Yeah, quick ultimate out of Trill buys time for them as this push starts to come through for DeToNator. They do have feet on the points. They will get themselves in overtime, but already losing Anakin means they are hurting for DPS, and They don't have follow-up DPS. They themselves running triple tank. So Blank, again, just total lockdown here. ATAR, another great place, Rocket Barrage. And yeah, that will indeed be it. Much more of the shutout we were expecting, and my moustache is feeling safer than ever.
As soon as Samurai D goes down, over time actually it gets contested a little bit, but this is kind of just almost last moment trickles before.
Last hurrah.
Something like that. It's the final charge, if you will, the, you know.
Last ditch. Last ditch. Is, you know, when you know you're done for, but you've got a little bit of air left in your lungs, so you might as well give it a go. Crazier things have happened.
Well, DeToNator are giving it a go. You know, as I said, they're going to really try for this. Control Center didn't look bad. Like, what? Here's the thing. I mentioned for DeToNator, a victory would be for them to achieve the goals of their team composition and just of their team in general. Now on Control Center, I believe they got some distance with that. Now onto Night Market. Unfortunately, no. Anakin went onto the McCree. He had Saihate on the Hog, and they couldn't successfully execute the compositional goal at all.
I will say, though, I think had that Graviton not been eaten, actually wouldn't be surprised if Control Center was a similar shutout, given that the moment it had been capped over by DeToNator. Blank in that very next fight just won it, you know, without too much effort, it seemed. But that's a little bit different to completely wiping in the opening skirmish like they did on Gardens. But now here on Night Market,
rather even.
Yeah, very even to start with. But here's going to be Blank really hitting back, putting on the hurt. It was actually quite a good setup out of DeToNator, and they did get a few picks through. But suddenly Blank just kind of turned on the pressure and got that cap through.
Well, you know, the Taiwanese interviewers always do ask.
Someone heal Kiki.
What kind of night markets you visit? Well, it turns out this is the one you're going to be visiting.
Oh, right.
As far as 8-up goes, when you really look at the Blank games, as long as this man is alive and he's on something like Tracer, Blank are never really out of the game. So despite all the kills that DeToNator got, 8-up was able to clean it up.
Pretty much, but hey, this is the way to start it off. Picking off ATAR and now Gunba to open this one out. Dodlov the only one going down for DeToNator, but they're able to kind of fight on to this point if they want. Eat you up, trying to sit off to the side and maybe try and come back in for a re-engage if at all possible. Anakin getting RQT now. They've got the opening and they are really leveraging it. This is really well played. Opening up with the Dragon Blade now just to secure this one out, and I do not blame them, even though they don't really find much for it. I mean, if it works, then it works.
Yeah, I think DeToNator will be happy to take that one. Blank still with the very, it takes a lot of discipline, I think, for a team like Blank to really say, okay, they have won this, we're not going to overcommit anything here, we're not going to throw an ult where we don't need, we're not going to throw plays where we don't need. However, now is the time to
Now's the time to throw ultimates as they throw down the Dragon Blade, already finding Delave or Delavi, however you like to say it. And also picking up Yoshiharu on that one as well. Dodlov going down quick, smart, and they're really just closing this one out. You know, the Noose Titans, and that was very few resources used for that one, and now actually looking very favorable for this next defense.
Yep, and DeToNator, man, you just kind of wanted them to get a little bit more. They're 32%. There's not anything. And now they don't have offensive tools. They got defensive tools, which will be great. ATAR. For when ATAR can attack Visor, but they don't have the offensive tools, and they're going up against double defense ultimates.
Trill actually goes down really early off that one. Didn't have an ultimate, so they don't lose out too hard, but DeToNator do have a window that they're going to try and break open here now, but losing Dodlov kind of evens that one up as the respawn coming in for Trill now. He'll be able to rejoin this fight in a moment as ATAR closes out handily with attack Visor. They did use up all of their resources to make sure that defense stayed true, but at 70, now 80%, I certainly don't blame them for that.
That's really interesting commit by Blank, because not that they're fully aware of this, but they killed both of the members on DeToNator that were actually holding ultimates, and even then they were defensive ultimates anyway, and the damage output of DeToNator was muted pretty quickly when DeToNator came in. Now heading into the 90% mark, DeToNator does have an opportunity. Well, they are at advantage. Can they leverage this?
Whoa, nearly got the full cap through there as well, yeah. Even if Blank do drop this, actually, they can kind of come back.
That's a huge shutdown,
that was a very big shutdown indeed. Anakin going down at the top of that one. But DeToNator are still trying to make something happen. Here goes Trill, though, with his own Dragon Blade. Going to get absorbed mostly by a sound barrier, but they're still getting enough damage. You could self-destruct, actually. Blank may have just, they're going to have to give up this cap. But like I said, they kind of got what they needed in that DeToNator now don't really have any ultimates of their own. Blank did use some, but they've got enough time to get back on the this and close
You
it
know,
out.
I kind of said earlier, Blank were very disciplined to not recommit into a fight they weren't going to win. Now, unfortunately, they are heavily,
This is very undisciplined now.
heavily committing into fights they're not likely to win. So, DeToNator, for as much as they're behind, they're able to capitalize and they're able to punish Blank repeatedly so far. They got like 4 extra kills out of that they shouldn't have gotten, or rather that Blank shouldn't have given over. And now DeToNator are in a position where they can actually stack up the percentage.
Yeah.
And Blank don't have offensive ultimates. They have to sort of come into this. Oh wow.
ATAR going down. Yeah, I was going to say, punish is the right word. Now actually ATAR going down as DeToNator hit 80%. They actually look poised to take a map here. Samurai D going to commit his ultimate, but all's well that ends well because they picked Gunba as well, who was the only ultimate available
This
for
is
Blank.
not good.
Yeah, it's not good at all. It's now just going to come down to a sheer brawl on the point to see who can overcome who, as both teams sit at 99%. And unless Blank can absolutely beeline to this one, it's going to be a really tricky fight for themselves. There they go, though, already opening it up on
Here comes
Saihade.
ultimates.
Kiki goes down, Samurai D as well. Yeah, all ultimates committed, no holds barred. EDY still has a pulse bomb to try and commit as well as he picks off Yoshiharu. But DeToNator had the the members, and the menus. They are ordering a Blank sandwich here as... I don't know where I'm going with that. Dodlov getting picked off though, and Blank slowly starting to close it out at the end of this fight off the back end. This is going to be a long one though,
They need to
because
kill
there's been
Ida.
enough time for respawns to come in, and now Samurai D is going to be able to rejoin this one. They haven't killed Eat You Up. Oh, he's got Anakin as well. Is he just going to solo carry this one?
Yes, he
Samurai D
is.
respawned in and now goes down. Trill with the ultimate to commit is going to be the secure for Blank, and oh man,
I've said this before, but Ida, if he's alive, if he's there, he's got to be able to bring it back for his team. He always does. He's the most consistent tracer from a back foot at bringing his team back into the game every single time without fail. And DeToNator could not bring the guy down. They could not take and deal with IEU up whatsoever. And you saw the input he had. He just, even though Blank had like, 2 members left at one point, constantly able to contest a point, constantly picking up the kills. Without this guy, if he had died much earlier, that would have been absolutely DeToNator picking up a map.
Oh, I suppose that answers one of our questions, right? I mean, we said success for DeToNator looked like even just matching Blank a little bit player for player, even if they then lost on, other strategic factors. But they didn't match them player for player, all right? On Gardens, Anakin got absolutely steamrolled by ATAR on the exact same pick as well. Totally the opposite of what we saw the first time those two players met. On Night Market there, the end basically came down to Eat You Up being just out and out better than like 80%.
Everybody.
Yeah, like pretty much everyone on DeToNator.GOLD. And
All
I mean,
6 of them.
he tends to be that way against a lot of teams, right? But DeToNator did capitalize at some moments, and you're right, they punished Blank when they made a mistake. But Blank, to their credit, fixed it right up, and then the moment they were given an even playing field, never failed to just win those fights, right?
I'll tell you what though, as soon as DeToNator were bringing it back around, as they were heading up to that 99% overtime, you probably felt a few hairs dropping off your face.
I actually customarily plucked one out.
In preparation.
Yeah. Well, it was sort of like...
It's like, I'll give you that one, DeToNator.
Yeah, there you go. Well done. Like every time they have a success, I'm like, well, there's one more and another one. But it's not enough to get rid of the whole thing. Sorry, DeToNator. My moustache is safe for another day.
When you're worried about your moustache and you start plucking it out when one team is at 99%, they haven't even won the stage yet, 99% of just barely about to win a stage, and then still have to win another 2 in a row to get the first map.
Yeah.
You must really care about that moustache.
Oh, by the way,
Dude, it took me a long time to grow.
You said 3-0 for DeToNator. That's not even possible anymore.
Yeah, it's not possible. Like I said,
literally not even possible.
my moustache is now completely safe. It has survived another bet.
What if it's like they get 3 points on one map and Blank gets 0?
No,
That's not the same.
not
That's
the same.
really not the same.
Get it together. Come on.
Yeah, of course it's not the same. Says the guy with the moustache at risk here.
Not anymore, it's not, because they lost. But it took me a surprisingly long time to grow. Like, it's just not a window I get anymore.
Let's actually just, like, the thing that is, I guess the most pressing thing out of Lijiang was, hey, Blank had moments, they gave away moments to DeToNator, and DeToNator absolutely came out on top. We started it with the Graviton Eat from Yoshiharu, which you're a big fan of.
Yeah. By the way, last weekend didn't happen a single time after I bet my shoe on it. And then
he does it against Blank.
Immediately, he comes out in the next weekend against Blank of all teams.
It's because you don't have a
Of all
moustache to
teams.
bet. Of all teams.
And it's the best Graviton Surge, which got them the best team fight almost in the whole game.
And
Sorry,
then,
can I just clarify? What do you mean you bet your shoe?
So I bet that I would eat my shoe if he didn't eat a Graviton in the series, and then he didn't play Diva. Basically,
Diva
the whole
once.
thing.
So
he played
wait-
it once, but there was no Zarya
So wait,
on
now
the
you
team.
have to eat a shoe?
We don't talk about that.
all right, case in point being that, and then we saw in night markets as well, as you're seeing the picks come up on your screen, that once again DeToNator were able to capitalize on Blank's mistakes. So A, it's good that DeToNator can do that, but B, the fact that Blank are coming in with some mistakes to start with against DeToNator as a team in general is a bit of a, it's kind of something that they may need to be concerned about.
All right, well, let's just move forward a little bit now. I mean, there's a bit we can take away from that, but I think a lot of what's going to define the rest of the series is, funnily enough, the rest of the series is going to be how DeToNator play on Hybrid especially, because it's very different in terms of how you can capitalize off of opportunities, right? Because on Control, if you do get a window and you capitalize, that looks like getting a cap. And whether you get a cap just barely or you get a cap convincingly, it's still a cap and it's still time on the point. And even if the other team reacts well, it's hard to exactly say where two teams stack up after a Control map. So Hybrid will be our next one. What are we expecting for the map pick and how we may be expecting it to look between these two teams?
I can't say, it's hard to say what it will be now, but last time they met, it was Numbani.
Can we just look?
There's
Can we
that.
just get Hollywood for once?
We got Hollywood last night, didn't we?
Did we?
Did we
We
not
didn't.
get Hollywood last night? We got Hollywood.
Last
There
weekend?
was a Hollywood
There was-
recently. I
at
don't know
some-
when.
At
but
some
recently.
point, there was a Hollywood. But that's the thing, we've barely seen any Hollywood. We've seen more Eichenwald than Hollywood, which is fine by me because I love Eichenwald. But I would also want to see more of that too.
I like Hollywood. I especially like the second checkpoint on it. It's
It's like through the
streets.
western
yeah.
set.
Did you know there's a camera following the limo the whole way, like on a dolly? up
I actually
above
haven't
it.
noticed that.
Did you
Yeah.
not? Because it's like the
It
whole
actually-
studio.
Look at things like
It
that.
affects the game as well. Like you can't shoot through it or anything. Like your pulse bomb will bounce right off it. Things like that. I don't know why you'd ever be in a
Teams
position to
haven't-
pulse bomb there.
Teams
but
have not maximized the dolly strategy.
Instead of Bastion up. On the dolly.
yeah, would that work?
You've put a
I
turret
don't.
on there.
I don't think you can jump up there. Maybe with the Lucio speed boost, but
Just get the Bastion to
you need
rocket
you need a Reinhardt up there to really maximize it. But
There's a way to do it.
But considering
That's
the fact that
interesting.
the dolly moves at the same pace as the payload, why don't you just use that?
I don't know.
Good question. You're asking the real question. Just
Yeah,
ask-
I don't have a
I don't
legitimate
have-
answer
yeah,
for that.
I
I'm
don't
just
have an
gonna-
answer.
I can analyze Overwatch, but I don't know about that
I
part.
just don't. Yeah, I don't know anything. What even is a camera?
That was the point of it because you should just put it on the payload. But are we gonna see Hollywood? I don't think
I don't
so.
probably. It's Numbani, yeah, and this is really unsurprising as well because I mean it's Blank. They are great at Numbani. This is their map pick. Like, why not just take something you are naturally favored on? Like, why give any potential ground, especially when, like we said, as much as it's ancient history and we've pretty much just chalked it up to day one jitters, you definitely want to prove as Blank that it was day one jitters, your first cheeky performance against this
What
team.
better way to do that than on the same map you played against?
Yeah.
Even,
Exactly.
even going back to that first day as well, Oasis, their very first map that they played against DeToNator on, that was the closest map, to be sure. After that, it slowly slid back into Blank's favor, where Numbani looked a little less one-sided, and then the third map, which I believe was Hanamura, just looked entirely
I
for
think you're
Blank.
right. And like, I think as well, it was DeToNator with
was
the home.
Hanamura.
It was
Yeah.
DeToNator with the home side for that one as well, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
and-
so Numbani was actually no wait, was it the other? No, it was Blank with the home advantage. So Numbani had actually been DeToNator's pick. Are you sure?
Yes. DeToNator was
DeToNator-
the team that picked Numbani.
Yeah, and I distinctly recall actually watching that, and I was like, DeToNator don't know what they've opened themselves up to. So we can kind of expect a repeat to be.
And actually, just while my memory is there, DeToNator had a decent game on Numbani against Blank in that initial weekend. It wasn't until Hanamura until Blank got that full first cap hold, and DeToNator just completely flipped over and looked like a totally different team. Hanamura, when that came out and Blank picked it, and Blank did pick that one, they played it, it was a total whitewash, and Numbani wasn't, but that was also week one.
By
But-
no means was I
yeah,
calling Numbani a whitewash, but Oasis went to a full 5 maps.
Yeah.
It looked
Yeah.
way closer on that series, on that series of one map, and then they went to Numbani, and DeToNator definitely still put up a big fight, but it wasn't to the level of Oasis.
Yeah, it was a fight, but it was a distinctly lost fight. Like, they still looked good, but Blank looked better. Whereas Oasis, you're right, it felt a lot tighter through and through. And I mean, going to 5 maps is evidence of that. And I suppose, since we're mainly comparing this to that day, we've just seen a 3-0 on Lijiang. We have not seen a repeat of that Oasis performance. Now, sure, it's a different map. You can argue the semantics of all that, but that would kind of suggest that Numbani is going to be a much more convincing win, and last time it was already a good win for Blank.
And Blank have already beaten much higher placed, higher ranked teams already on Numbani than DeToNator, so if they fail to close out DeToNator on Blank's worst day, they're not going to get it on Blank's best day.
Well, assuming this is Blank's best day. But I get exactly what you mean, sure, and that's actually my favorite piece of Overwatch trivia, right on the screen for a moment there, is the name of that particular oil.
A tier?
What? No.
Was that was the word on the screen, so.
No, that's just the building. The name of the, no, I'm not going to say it because then everyone's going to know the answer to my favorite trivia question. But there you go. Oh, well. If you think you can remember it without looking it up, and it's on that point. It's on that point. So
not that you can police that, but
everyone has seen it, right? So if you know the answer to this one, go ahead and tweet it at Full Circle on Twitter. I think it's Full Circle ES on Twitter. What is the brand name of the Omnic oil being advertised on the first point of Numbani? I don't have anything I can give you, but I just want to see who actually knows the answer to this piece of trivia.
Cool, but we are going to get Numbani. Thank you for that.
Anytime.
It's going to be DeToNator on attack first. They're going to try and go for the sneaky run through. They're not going to go through the bottom, actually. They're going to go through the top, which is a lot more risky because if Blank respond in time, you can actually just get fully environmental.
Yeah. And Blank are responding in time as well. They've actually already set themselves up on this basically other high ground option. And now IEUp himself is going to come around the back end of DeToNator. So just completely routing them. I mean, DeToNator, good move, but Blank were playing 3-dimensional space chess there. They were 1 step ahead. They were 7 steps ahead and absolutely smacked down DeToNator on that first push.
I think DeToNator executed that poorly. They came through the back. Cool. What you want to do is stick your members. In fact, they're even running the wrong composition. They don't have a soldier to be able to sit on that high ground on the defender side properly and just sort of anchor there. Now they do, but it's a little bit too late, and Blank responded accordingly. They went towards the attacker side, forced DeToNator to dive them in a really poor spot, and there was no way DeToNator were going to get that up.
Yeah, it was like they sort of went, oh, we're playing a dive comp. Oh, that means we don't run soldier, but then tried to do something that does require a soldier. You're completely right. So let's see how this one goes. RQT very close to that res means that DeToNator will pretty much have to shut him down at the top of every single fight until that res is out of the picture.
Oh, wow.
Trill, man. Oh, he just popped in front of them with the justice. That was so nasty.
So much justice, no sleep darts. No matrix, no answer whatsoever.
Today's forecast cloudy with a chance of justice.
Even a deflect from Anakin would have been really good.
But it was absolutely nothing. And it was like, it was so abrupt as well. Like, that was like a jump scare justice.
My ultimate
Today's forecast raining hamburgers.
Well, okay, we were talking about this before, off screen, guys. You know the film Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs? In Spain, that was translated to raining hamburgers. Just that's where that comes from. Because otherwise, no one's gonna get that reference.
But now back to
now
I do thank you for that. But we are.
Whoever hamburguesas. Whoa, hello, pulse bomb, indeed. So Hardy does actually take out his counterpart in ATAR, but I mean the rest of this is just going to be a justice ride. So Anakin actually does get a nice kill there, but that's going to be the res out of RQT to basically secure it. So now they don't have to focus RQT at the top of every single fight, but Blank are still favored in terms of ultimates, and will surely be able to build that res up before too long. And DeToNator starting to lose time.
Yeah, and I like EDUP just gets Yoshiharu out of the mech, and Yoshiharu, I guess suicide is the right option there because it takes so long to get yourself back in the mech.
It's raining Yoshiharu.
Kind of, it rains. You get rained down to the bottom denizens of Numbani because technically this city, or at least this part of the city, is really high up in the air.
Yeah, like this is quite a dangerous city, all things considered. But there's still not enough handrails. I mean, I know they've destroyed a lot of them, but there's still not enough. But Trill already picking off Dotlov. They're one of the few ultimates DeToNator had to work with. They've still got a few in the pocket here, but they have to really just commit everything they've got in this fight. They don't really have time to fully back off and recommit, but Trill is just absolutely dominating the skies. They're not even getting into position, and then when they are halfway in the position, given that half of them have already died, Trill is just cleaning them up.
Like seriously, look how high we are. I don't know if you saw those buildings, but they were much lower than
And then
this.
Trill is even higher up than that.
That's crazy.
Let that sink in. This guy is just nuts. He's a junkie. Adrenaline junkie.
I can't even comprehend. But DeToNator, they have 6 ultimates, 1 ultimate being used.
Here we go.
Here comes Nanovisor. Can
Powered
they find
up.
something?
Not at all. Not so far. He's just getting completely kettled in by Kiki.
Okay.
Oh, Trill down and out for the count, so no more smasher of good ults, but RQT will have a res soon. May even just throw it out onto Trill and Gunba here. Wouldn't be a bad call at all if he can get it in time. Oh, doesn't quite get it in time to save Trill, who's just respawned now, and then RQT himself dropping. So actually, yeah, not over at all. DeToNator, they've got a really solid fight here, even though Blank absorbed all of those ultimates that DeToNator threw out at the top of this one. But now Blank with those respawns will start to come in. Trill throws out the ultimate without finding much with it, but Eat You Up is keeping the harass alive.
Still alive. He is alive.
It is still alive. They're actually just going to go ahead and cap it. Blank, I think rightfully so. They're coming in at the last second to contest it, but this isn't an easy time to do that. Oh, never mind. They want to go for it. They're going all out, everything in the kitchen sink, and that res too. But it's not going to work. Trill already down twice in a row on that kill feed, actually. Then RQT and Eat You Up as well. So, DeToNator, well, hello. We have a game on our hands.
Certainly, and I think it took DeToNator until they had 6 ultimates to successfully be able to get themselves in there. They used all 6 ultimates to actually be able to execute properly, and I think if DeToNator requires 6 ultimates to just get a cap, I mean, I don't really know what to say to that. It's a very tough stake to be in, and they're not going to have another opportunity because it took 4 minutes for them to get the 6 ultimates with only 2 minutes remaining.
Yeah.
And distance on the card to push.
Blank
This may have just been buying time for the inevitable.
Yeah, Blank have time to take an early fight to draw out those last few ultimates, the Nano Boost and the Tactical Visor, and they probably should do that, but losing RQT might actually make it a bit hard for them to do that, so Blank may just have to give up that opportunity altogether, losing Kiki as well. They need to just back off and take a fight later on down the line.
I think you're right. I think Blank need to be a little bit reserved here. This is the fact that Blank recommitted in that first cap anyway with all those ults which ended up feeding into DeToNator. It's kind of like a repeat of Night Market that we saw where Blank just were refusing to give up a losing situation, wanted to clutch themselves back in, and you know, obviously they weren't able to. So,
Yeah,
and now, as much as I said DeToNator was a struggle, look, they nearly capped it again.
Yeah, I mean, they only had 2 minutes, but it ended up being enough time just because Blank kind of whiffed the opportunity of taking that early fight. They do just trade 1-for-1 so far with those 2 tactical visors out. DeToNator have more resources to commit, but they need to be careful to not commit them all.
Eat Up.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, picking that is huge. Now closing out on Kiki as well was the only few resources that Blank did have. So DeToNator thrown out everything except for that Primal Rage, but they're happy to take the cap, and now actually they do have time to work out a couple of Blank's ultimates and build up an advantage of their own for the final cap.
And suddenly DeToNator get another 4 minutes seemingly out of thin air, and like I said, when you kill Eat Up, you start to break apart Blank. Every time Eat Up goes down, that's when Blank are piece by piece able to be dismantled and DeToNator. They're able to find, they can continue finding Eat Up in these situations. Maybe, just maybe, they can complete the cap.
Yeah, that time around though, Eat Up does find Anakin, so they don't quite get more distance yet, and they have not been able to find an opportunity to draw either that Pulse Bomb, Primal Rage, or Self-Destruct out of Blank yet, which they really do need to do before they go for the final push on the end there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so, but at the same time, 2 tank ultimates won't be the end of the world. That is going to buy extra amount of time, primarily for Blank to mostly get Atar's Tac Visor up. That's what they really need damage-wise to get themselves in the game, as well as just the fact that IU Up staying alive will be extremely important as well. So Atar picking up that kill does put him in.
Yeah, the ultimate did come out of IEU Up. He found Dodalov with that, but then just absolutely mowed down 2 other members of DeToNator with the help of the rest of his team. So Blank, they're still holding on to an advantage here. Let's be frank.
Yeah,
Let's be frank, Blank.
Yeah, DeToNator as well. They got the Pulse Bomb out. They copped a member for that, but ever since, they haven't made any ground whatsoever. We're now under 1 minute. I said Atar need to get Tag Visor for them to get back into this.
Kiki getting the
He's
kills.
definitely going to get there.
He will, and I mean, even then, it almost feels like they scarcely need it, right? They're just doing the damage as it is, ultless. So
6 ults for Blank.
yeah, now they've got everything in their favor here. In less than 30 seconds now remaining for DeToNator. A lot of distance to go, and they already lose Samurai D off the top of this one. I don't think they're going to get the full 3 cap off this. Blank have found a position where they can just have an insurmountable defense, and I like this, just pulling back for a moment. if they want to play disciplined, they should wait for DeToNator to commit ults first, and then commit their own.
10 seconds, I think DeToNator needed to really
Go.
hurry up.
Yeah, pull the trigger indeed. They've actually got themselves quite close to having a full 6 of their own, so at the very least, it's an even playing field.
Down, okay.
Oh, that's really big. How did he fall off as well? But Trill answers back, so never mind all that. Slihardy opening up with the tactical visor. I mean, even playing fields, everything we know would tell us that Blank are still going to win that, and that is indeed what is happening now as AVRL doesn't even have targets to shoot at with that nano visor because they're all kind of dead and pulled back. DeToNator desperately trying to swing back, namely with the Dragon Blade, but no such luck as Blank well poised to close this one out here. Just a few kills away from it to get the overtime to tick down. It's Yoshiharu out of the mech. Dotlov, the only one left to contest with Samurai D there. The nano boost runs out and the ultimate health just disappears. There we go, Dunzo.
I think a really big question to ask here is it acceptable for Blank to have let that card go as far as it did? Because, hey, first cap, okay, maybe the other team eventually gets their second cap. What is going on, Blank? This is now where you look at Blank and think DeToNator probably got given a little bit too much room.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, I can actually answer exactly what happened, right? So on that first cap, I mean, we kind of called it, Blank decided to just throw everything. They threw everything at stopping that. You know, sometimes you get the dollar bills in your eyes and you're like, you know what, we can just win this outright, right here, right now. So they went, all right, let's throw in this res. And they didn't really play favorably. Like, they threw in their ultimates, but they gave up their win condition. And I think if they had held on to the ultimates and just played discipline, gone, look, okay, something went wrong here and they got this cap anyway, let's just hold on to an advantage, find a way we can defend somewhere before the second point gets capped, and they could well have done that. They lost the opportunity to do that while also losing the cap. And then they had a tiny window in which to still defend before that second point, but lost one member, crucially, when they were setting up to take that early fight, which would have drawn a few ultimates out of DeToNator, and then just lost the opportunity to contest that altogether.
I think I'd have to agree with that, especially, you know, towards the difference between the time between the first cap going over to then DeToNator pushing on through. Had Blank decided we're not going to actually recommit into a fight that we're likely to lose, we're going to hold on to ults here, and then we're going to make a stand and a defense around the first corner, or even respectively around the second corner of the Streets phase, and hold there with the ultimates that Blank would have saved at the time. And that could have been preventing DeToNator from getting the second checkpoint altogether.
There's actually a lot of opportunity here for DeToNator to hold out Blank. I mean, they may even first hold Blank. If they don't, if they can run down the clock a bit, they can find a lot of opportunities to get a successful defense. I mean, that's a lot of payload distance to go, short of actually fully capping that third point. So DeToNator, they've got every opportunity to even take out this map.
And Blank are going to play this first section definitely a lot more calculated than the final moments of the first cap defense.
They're really on the cusp of losing members all the time here. AVRL finally going down as Gunba had to back off to keep himself alive, and then two more getting
Now the
picked.
kills coming in.
Really, really quick ones. Yeah, Blank are getting very hard pressured here as they try and set up for their fight, so well played by DeToNator to react.
And good picking up the supports as well. They were able to sort of get the correct members, because we did see on DeToNator's final attempt at attacking the third cap, I mean, you had Dragon Blades going onto Divas, you had Attack Visor straight into the face of Winston, and while that's also good by Blank to identify, that's what they needed to do. For this time around, DeToNator are able to take down Gumber and RQT quickly and force the rest of Blank to scatter back to spawn.
Yeah, it was well timed. Like, they pressured out Gunba. Unfortunately, they didn't kill him, but they left AVRL exposed, and then that left Gunba exposed, and he and RQT died pretty much instantly. They've done the same thing a second time now. Pressure off Gunba, wait for AVRL to be exposed, kill him, that leaves Gunba exposed, and then when you've got the two healers out of the picture, Blank have nothing left to go. And now DeToNator are a little bit entrenched with their ultimates. Blank will get around coming up soon here, and they will have the raise as well, but they're going to have to really pick their moment, and right now DeToNator are actually dealing with this style of offense very adequately.
I actually want to see DeToNator play a little bit patiently here. Don't commit the Nano Blade too early, maybe even save the Nano for your Attack Visor, and wait for Blank to commit themselves into a fight, then throw the ultimates on top. Put Blank into a situation where they cannot, or are very difficult a position to actually back off from, and secure kills after that.
Unfortunately though, losing Anakin this time around, DeToNator don't quite answer it properly, and yeah, that is a lot of ultimates already committed for Blank though, so DeToNator can kind of be happy with that. That's two out of their members, and Gunba commits the res.
Eat Up plays Genji?
Sometimes, I guess. But in any case, Gunba committed the res there and now is actually getting pressured out, and here's DeToNator starting to try and answer here. Sayhade kind of caught off to the side in this room, but he's able to get out. Yeah, there he goes. He's actually back out of it, and the res and a lot of other things were committed, but DeToNator, they actually swung back, even though they lost early members. Blank didn't find anything with their ultimates, and DeToNator didn't commit their own. They are still in a favorable position.
What? I am dumbfounded because there it is. Eat-Up goes back into Tracer. I was thinking, what is he doing on Genji? This guy does not play Genji. He has shown no evidence of having practiced Genji, at least not in any matches I'm aware of. And clearly he was not able to do anything on Genji there at all. He's a fantastic Tracer, the best in the tournament maybe.
Maybe indeed.
He's got to leverage.
But I mean, right now that's actually proven to not quite be good enough. Well, my goodness, what did Blank even go off here? They don't actually have the raise just yet. Gonna get it soon, but once again, DeToNator are dealing with this well. Trill finally finding the opening as they take out Sayhade, one of the crucial ultimates on the team. And there we go. Anakin trying to leverage something with this Dragon Blade. He's getting on top of Gunba as the raise had gone down, but not really finding anything for it, and is now very lonely on this point. Trill throws out the, Atar rather, throws out the ultimate to secure this one, and they are going to get this cap through, though I will say, that was much more hard fought than I expected.
Oh yeah, if you mentioned earlier, if DeToNator just bleed out the time, maybe they have a chance. They've absolutely bled out a lot of time. And there were moments, there were moments when we were seriously, specifically I was considering, a DeToNator able to do this? Can they actually hold out Blank? They were
one hold away from doing it. I mean,
yeah, one team fight for sure.
They'd already done 90% of the work, and it wasn't like Blank whiffed those. DeToNator played those defenses well, and then they didn't quite play the last one well enough, and Blank did play it well. So,
Blank
props
got
to DeToNator.
Pickup, though. Blank got a really quick pickup on that last one.
They did. I mean,
and then like, Trill got a kill and then an X, so there it is.
Yeah, but this is DeToNator doing what Blank were unable to do and take an early fight, try and draw ultimates out. Ideally, they want to get this one out of Kiki. They're not going to get that, though, but what they will do is run down the clock. They need to be careful, though, to not feed too much ult charge over to Gunba, and there we go. Killing him helps them do that. And DeToNator taking that early fight, like I said, running down the clock. They may find an opportunity to defend coming up to this corner now.
This cart push is slowly but surely happening. A decent contest, but I think DeToNator
they've over-contested.
Yeah, they definitely overstayed here. Now, they're going to end up paying for this.
They absolutely are. They'd actually done a very good job and needed to... I think they got a little bit greedy. They went, oh, we could just get a few more kills and then it would be even better. And then kind of half committed to backing off as well, but this ultimately just gives the cap over to Blank.
It's got to go 6. They got to get 6.
With that, Blank should have plenty of time to actually slow this
Especially
one
if Anakin actually dies here again.
Yeah, that would be disastrous.
The aggression out
They're
of
already getting pressured back.
Any room.
You know what this is? This is old school Blank. Like, this is like late last year kind of Blank, where their entire way of playing these escort and hybrid maps was get a fight and then send members forward. Specifically, they would use Atar on Genji. They do this a lot on King's Row. Send him forward. Wouldn't even necessarily have to get kills, but often he still would. And then use that space to march the payload forward. They're trying to do the same thing here to get them as close as possible, and it's already working. They've still got the ultimates. If DeToNator hit back, they've got the res. And here is it going to come out from Gunba. Nice.
This is a massive now turnaround. I think DeToNator, they forced out the res quite early, but the fight is still continuing as we're sort of getting into this. Blank actually have a decent amount of ults still remaining to get the final movement, and if they can get, they absolutely do get Sayhade, which means Anakin, the last player alive, has to just try and contest, and this is definitely going to be a cap.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and like I said, it's the space that they had created for themselves. Even though there was still a little bit of room left, DeToNator were never going to be able to get into a good enough position, because by the time Blank had got themselves back on the payload to move it towards the end, DeToNator was scattered on the respawns. It was just well executed by Blank. They didn't give DeToNator a chance.
I still think DeToNator got given... They had a few moments, though. I'll be honest with you, especially at the start in that first cap, it was danger zone for Blank. I think Blank put themselves in... backed themselves into the last corner, as it were, just managed to bring themselves out in time. From cap 2 onwards, though, from Streets phase all the way to the end, wasn't too much of a sweat for Blank, but right at the start, you kind of had a, you felt the sweat drip a bit.
Well, we cannot call that a shutout, guys. We just can't.
No.
Lijiang did look better than what Oasis did the last time these two teams met, but Numbani, in a way, it looked similar. I won't say it looked tighter, but it looked similar. It was not as one-sided as we would have expected. In fact, DeToNator came close. They came legitimately close.
Too close for Blank's liking.
Absolutely. Like, it wasn't even they got lucky several times in a row. It's they played well several times in a row and nearly first out Blank. And this is Blank who often first hold teams. You know, they first hold teams.
Which, by
like
the way, they
Fashionable's
didn't do
HQ.
to Blank. They didn't do to DeToNator.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's
So,
the main
there we go.
story of Numbani for this series, right? It's just that first point, because both teams didn't hold the Streets phase particularly well, so we can basically write those off. But then once we hit the third checkpoint, one team was just better at holding at the end there. Blank, I feel, could have just rolled all the way to the end of the third checkpoint at that moment. But really most of it is going to be on that first point, because like you said, DeToNator almost full held Blank there. Can you imagine if they had just won 1.5 more fights?
That would have been nuts. Like, that would have been unprecedented, to be completely honest.
I mean, we kind of thought the same about Machi when Machi got the one map off Blank as well, but this is much more far-fetched due to the fact that Machi are a team that is actually 4th now, quite literally, and DeToNator is sitting on 1 win after 2 round robins.
Yeah.
So that is a difference.
Like, the only thing that would have had made it precedented would have been that day one performance, which we have, and we now say time and time again, have since chalked up to day one jitters. So, what can we take away from this? What can we take away from this in terms of both Blank's performance and DeToNator's performance?
Okay, I want to speak to Blank first, which is basically, I'm still not too sure what the eat up Genji pick was. It is not something that I'm aware that he plays, but even
I did a double take.
Even if it was, yeah, I had to check. It was like
I did a triple
because-
take just to one-up you.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, you're not wrong, because I eat up an 8, you're like, no, that's 8, no, wait, it is eat up. Okay, never mind. But why would he go there anyway? He's such a fantastic Tracer. As soon as he went back onto Tracer, they were back in command.
It looks
so
different.
the guy is just so good on Tracer. Why play Genji when you're already fantastic Tracer? But that aside, Blank tonight have shown so far on both Lijiang and Numbani cases of where I think some of the discipline does go out the window, and they think, look, let's just keep chucking stuff onto the pile, and we're not going to accept a loss here, when sometimes you got to bite the bullet and say, you know what, we're not going to retake this fight, but let's set up for the next one and get a good, solid defense instead.
And to kind of speak to EU up on Genji as well, like, it's not like they need another player who can flex onto Genji. Like, they've got Atar, who is a good Genji, and if they desperately need specifically eat you up on Tracer and Atar on Soldier, then they can just do what they do when they run triple DPS and put Trill on Genji. Like, they have those options. They don't ever need it, unless there's something that Trill can play that isn't Genji that they need at times where they need a Genji and a Soldier. But that is such a weirdly specific situation, and even then, we weren't actually seeing that situation. You're right, I can't understand where that Genji was coming from either. But
they changed it.
yeah, and maybe it's something that they will speak to in the interview at some point later on. I would be quite interested, at least to find out.
The more pressing issue is, like I said, the sort of lack of discipline or overconfidence or just unwillingness to kind of correctly identify what they needed to do and just say, look, we don't want to back down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not wanting to back down at the times where they should.
So next map, gentlemen, will of course be Assault. We're now on the cusp of this being a 3-0 for Blank. A bit of a different 3-0 to what we were maybe expecting, but 3-0 nonetheless. It will, however, be DeToNator's pick. Are we expecting anything in particular, or is there basically just nothing you can do against Blank here?
Well, they're probably not going to pick Hanamura again. Didn't go too fantastically for them the first time, and that was a very long time ago. But it was also probably the weakest Blank we've seen.
6 weeks ago.
So if you got rolled on Hanamura when Blank was looking at their weakest, probably not going to pick it again. So I guess I'm likely going to say Temple of Anubis, but there's probably room for Volskaya.
I suppose it is reasonable, though, to bring up here. The one weakness Blank have seemed to have had for a while now has been Assault. It was the very first game mode they started dropping against a variety of teams before they'd even picked up what has now been 2 complete losses altogether. So is there still something there that DeToNator can actually tap into?
So if Blank have been playing with these mistakes that we've been seeing, mostly on Numbani, where they are throwing bodies at a fight that is lost, that is something that can really turn around and bite you on assault. If you do that to the first point and you think, oh, no, guys, I can bring back, we can get the point again, and you go in there and you give the enemy a huge snowball, instead of saying, okay, look, we've lost 2 people, maybe 3 people, we can back off to the second point from here. It's pretty common for a first point to get taken. It's okay, we can hold it and deny them a snowball altogether. If Blank don't do that and basically do what they did on Numbani, then that's going to give them a very tough snowball to fight against on that second point. Yeah.
All right. I thought you may have wanted to chip in.
I just don't think like this is.
You just don't think.
They
Just doesn't think.
DeToNator have most of the games they've played. They have barely picked up maps, just sort of in general, and Assault will just kind of fall in there. Assault, they haven't really picked up maps either. Now, the result from Hanamura still vividly sticks into the memory. I remember it quite well, and I'm sure for DeToNator, being that it was the only other time they played against Blank, that should probably stick in their memories as well. I think Temple of Anubis probably is the way to go here. It has been the one Assault that has looked probably the weakest for Blank, but it's even hard to say there because, like, I think generally we would say so. It was the one that AHQ beat them on. It was one where I think
Machi beat them on.
Machi beat,
yes,
yeah.
that's correct.
Flashwolves beat them on Hanamura, but yeah,
they've technically lost Hanamura more than Temple
because I think they also lost
Hanamura to Hong Kong Attitude.
Hong Kong Attitude in the infamous Game 5, or rather 5-game series.
Infamous game 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I meant to say the infamous 5-game series, but I said game too early. I jumped the gun. I got excited.
Now, by no means, like when I say Blank, you know, if they play the way they were on Numbani, they're going to put themselves in a less good situation.
It's still
by
a
no
winning
means,
situation.
yeah, by no means is it going to put DeToNator in the advantage where they are likely to win.
Blank are still a good team, but that's interesting, isn't it? Right, that our assessment of this is even though Blank have actually struggled a bit on Assault, we still feel like even on their worst day and DeToNator's best, they don't actually overcome this. But that's all that I feel can be said without actually seeing the game itself. And look, stranger things have happened. So with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. And when we come back in just enough time for you to make another bowl of 2-minute noodles, we will, of course, see if Blank is going to close this one out 3-0 or if DeToNator will keep the dream alive and maybe even take a whole map off Blank. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hope you didn't spill any hot water on yourself as you bolted back from your kitchen to get to your PC and catch all the action. And by action, I mean us talking about video games on a couch. Of course, the game hasn't started yet. Yeah, but in any case, welcome back. Thank you so much for sticking with us. And we're about to come up to our third and quite possibly final game of the night between Blank and the other one, DeToNator.GOLD. We've already kind of... Stop it, man. It's late.
Oh, boy.
So we've already talked a little bit about this. Is there anything we haven't really said about this Assault so far, given that we haven't seen the map yet?
I think also DeToNator, whatever map comes up, need to be able to do their best to try and leverage the reinforcement advantage as best they can, and you know, kind of not repeat some of the mistakes we have seen so far tonight, which is for Fireball that was kind of throwing away their comeback mechanic extremely early with Apuro changing onto Mei, and also you know, teams coming on specifically on the first cap and throwing bodies back onto there when realistically they have very low chances of retaking it and then feeding ult onto an attacking team that are about to snowball. So stuff like that, I think if DeToNator can at least leverage it, they are like take advantage of where you're favored on the map anyway, naturally, because of where, like, positionally where you are on the map, which is if you're defending right at the last point.
I think another big thing as well is just also touching on, like, don't throw bodies at the point when it's a losing fight, but also identifying... No, let's not... Too many memes tonight, man, too many. But it's also going to be identifying what the attackers are going to do to get to the point and take it off of you. How are they going to destroy you is the word that I came up with.
I will destroy you!
Tonight's been a lot of destroying and demolishing coming out of you.
It has.
It's been your theme.
Just a
of
lot
the
of
evening.
detonating. Yeah. Just set banter to maximum over meme.
Recognizing the path that the attackers are going to take, how they're going to get there, and throwing a spanner in the works there, because every team seems to sit up in their defensive positioning. Oh, look, I'm done with my point if you're just gonna...
And also specifically, because it is Temple of Anubis, specifically, you have to, based on past performances from Blank, if you're Detonator right now, you have watched those, you will know that Blank are likely to eat you up on Widow on attack.
Yeah.
So be prepared for that. And try and project the compositions that your opponents will be likely to be running. And Blank have done pretty much the same thing every time they play Temple of Anubis now.
But at the same time, they do that because they're really great at doing what you should do when you run a Widowmaker, which is you either get picks and you have a numbers advantage and then you attack the point, or you don't get picks but you force their positioning so that they don't get picked and then you take advantage of that.
So absolutely, but it's about understanding that's what Blank are going to do.
Yeah, that is hard to react to though. So given that that's like just specifically that's what Blank are opting to do here, let's get into the nitty gritty of that, right? How actually specifically for those at home, how does Detonator counter that?
D.Va. You've got to fly a D.Va up to where that Widowmaker is, because otherwise
Or a Winston.
Or a Winston, or a Genji, just something that can fly, not a Reinhardt. Just park up the...
Dude, don't let your dreams be dreams.
Look, I don't think there's any physical possible way for a Reinhardt to get up to that bridge.
Probably not.
If Eat You Up's going to be up there, it really cuts off so much positioning that the defenders can be. The point is out of the question. Half of that ledge that they defend on from the right is out of the question. If you get pushed out of there when the attackers come up to contest you up there, there's a headshot possibility. So not contesting Eat You Up is out of the question. You need to send someone up there to deal with him. And it's a Widowmaker. It's not a soldier who's going to duel you. You can just send one person.
The other alternative is Eat Up is going to be very, very far at the back with Widow sniping. Now, the other 5 members will attempt to flush you out of wherever you're hiding. But guess what? You will be able to enter a 6v5 there, so that's an advantage as well. Be able to brawl Blank in those close spaces with the 6-player advantage, 6 versus 5 advantage, and then try and win off that. So instead of, you can commit one player onto Eat Up, and that turns into a 1v1, then a 5v5, and it turns into 2 separate engagements, or choose the engagement you really want to win, and win at least on one of those fronts.
Yeah, and I suppose the specific thing there is, as much as the Widowmaker does force your hand in terms of your positioning, it doesn't mean you have to give up positional advantage. So
that goes out the window. No,
yeah, no, shut up. It's in the window. It's back in. Right?
Right back in the window because we did. I saw Eat Up putting up Genji as well.
And you were about to shave your moustache.
Yes, that's too late because I already have. Anyway,
it's too late. The damage is done.
Speak of damage done.
Whatever, man. That was a great Sean Connery impression. And so here we go, Eat You Up there. This is exactly what we're expecting. Already trying to,
that is,
like you said, force the hand. And
not a safe spot for Saihate.
No, not at all. And one he's struggling to get out of Anakin already.
Oh my.
Oh man, this is just the Eat You Up show. I just want they've gone. Oh, let's send someone up there. Now that we're at a numbers disadvantage, but that's even too late because honestly, that's just going to be Eat You Up dropping off, and now they're taking advantage of the force positioning. Picks Delave, that's... Oh, man.
Delave.
Delave, I don't know.
The other problem on top of that is Eat Up was also receiving a blue beam for Mercy, so the damage output, if any headshot, he wasn't going for fully charged headshots, he's just sort of scoping in, immediately headshotting, and that just ended up being a kill. Anyway, now, Blank, it wasn't like a super fast taking the first cap, but it was still really clean now. Anakin quickly going onto the Sombra. Cool. Lots of teams have done this. They need to be able to hack the health packs really quickly, set themselves up quickly because Eat Up, he hasn't actually changed off this. They're going to commit with the Widow.
I don't think I've ever heard someone refer to it as receiving the blue beam.
Really? You've never played the game competitively?
I'm really receiving the blue beam. Well, in any case, Atar receives the blue beam from Samurai D, and by that I mean his Tesla cannon. And
it's not a beam at all.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of beams at once. It's lightning beams. Then he misses. It misses the jump. Who's standing up?
What is that? I thought that was a bug in the game, but no, that was a real thing.
Yeah, I thought Trill was like, I don't know, like T-posed on the point. Like,
I guess what it was. I guess
who
what
was that standing there? Is that like some forced perspective trick? Like,
I
they
don't
were
think
trying.
that was real.
They were doing the pet diva thing, right? Where you just leave her like, and Trill was like, you know what? I'm gonna have fun with this.
I'm out of here. Anyway, it is DeToNator setting out a lot of ultimates, and the problem with Blank is also by continuing to run Eat Up on Widow, the infrasight, I was going to say eventually, but you know, currently and also eventually is not super useful. Here comes the EMP now, engage time for DeToNator.
Yeah, they do get a couple of kills onto DeToNator though, so IQT could have gone for a res there if he really wanted. I don't know if he could have actually got everyone in the res, and I think smartly he holds on to it. They swap Eat You Up off that Widowmaker, and now they're looking to come back in and do it proper.
Yeah, well, Blank have now changed onto the Tracer, as mentioned, so this is it. I mean, this is the kind of the change I wanted to see them make to start with, because just like when we saw Eat Up on Genji.
Oh, hold on a
just play the
second.
guy in Tracer.
That's the res. That's a really early res just to keep Gunba in this one, and then straight away they lose Eat You Up. They're still going to try and commit to this one, keep it going, but ATAR low on health. Even with that Dragon Blade, it's not safe to commit. And actually, Blank just kind of threw a lot of ultimates into what I feel was already a lost fight. I think maybe they should have actually just backed off after losing Gunba, but no, they stuck with that one and really cost
That's like the entire story of the night for Blank. Maybe they should have just backed off.
Maybe they should have just won. Maybe they should have just played better.
I mean, what I was saying was probably quite accurate to, you know, what's been happening so far in the game, but
That's better.
for Blank, this is still finding an opportunity to get themselves in. The Gumbo now hopping off the Mercy, so probably a good move. They are having to make these changes now to the composition. Every time they do this, they're going to lose ults. Yeah, he used it. I guess he did use the res, so he was planning to jump off the Mercy anyway, so I kind of can now understand that solo res he kind of put out there.
Yeah, it seems Gunba can't really afford to be as defenseless as Zenyatta against Anakin here. That's going to be the commit out of ATAR though. Oh, finds Hardy as he tries to leg it towards his base. The rest of the team EMP'd, but they aren't getting the kills through. Trill barely staying alive as he throws out the ultimate at this last second there. ATAR going to try and jump back into that. That's a great pulse bomb onto Yoshiharu as he gets back into the mech, just barely, and Eat You Up again, looking to buckle the carry pants tight as it were. Can't find a health pack, it has been hacked, but he's staying alive just barely, and DeToNator, they're really relying on the defender's advantage respawns. Blank, they started to run out of health for a moment, but they've kind of recovered from that. The sound barrier to keep them going for this, and they should be able to actually close out a good number of kills here and get a solid third. Maybe try and draw it out further than that as they get those kills through. Now Samurai D to close out the end of that one, and actually they're poised to get a full cap here.
Yeah, they are eventually going to get the win, because I just don't think DeToNator had enough members or enough counter kills to sort of get themselves back into the game. Yeah, they had the damage potential to come back out, but at that point they were already trickling. Blank had a strong foothold on that cap. They weren't moving, they were totally entrenched. I think for DeToNator was just at that point buying time for a potential time bank if they can actually complete the cap themselves.
Yeah, and the sound barrier as well, securing all 6 members, having already topped them off on health. I mean, like I said, it set them up to then get the full round of kills. And that was just well executed, honestly, by Blank. After a couple of odd executions and a fight immediately before that where they just threw a lot of ults out when they maybe didn't need to, they then actually played that last fight very, very well. That is much more in line with what we expect out of Blank. And I remember when we were looking at Machi Fireball, we said, well, a shutout would be capping 2 and then first holding, and maybe that is what we see Blank do here.
I would expect that as well. I think for even Blank, because of the disparity here in team skill and also in positions, leadable positions, Blank likely may even be expected to get a full hold on the first cap if, you know, that's not out of the question, I think, for Blank to be able to do.
Certainly not at all. Certainly not at all.
But DeToNator, I think, you know, if they can
Blank
get the first cap, they will struggle with cap 2. I don't see DeToNator taking this to time bank.
Yeah.
It requires a lot of very well executed coordination to get that second cap, and also for Blank to make mistakes, which by the way DeToNator have capitalized on, but DeToNator will need to continue to find those moments and opportunities to capitalize on them, and it will be a defensive Eat Up Widow, which is gonna be interesting, and we'll see how he does in that. I'm not concerned about his aim or his ability to get the kills.
It's just an interesting pick.
What I am concerned about is what happens when you need to contest point, a Widow jumping on point to contest is not going to work.
It tends to not go well at all. If blank 3-0, by the way, I will grow my moustache more. There we go, getting the headshot on Double. Right. That's a nice way to start. They confused you for a moment, didn't it?
Hard to... Blank just let this one go. Oh. They hear you.
They're just like, nah, no more moustache. It's over, it ends tonight.
Well, if blank 3-0, I will probably have dinner tonight after this.
What?
Stay here.
You've already had like 2 dinners.
Yeah, you can never have too many dinners.
What about third dinner? Like a Hobbit AVRL.
They are also playing the Mercy Res here, so it's kind of, this almost seems like a time bank composition minus a Widowmaker, or blanket, well, unlike their eat up is actually being challenged here, that's important.
Yeah, but it's not going to go very far as the deflect out, and Sayhadi is still sure to go down. There it goes, Anakin, sorry, not Sayhadi, but maybe Sayhadi will go down too, as already Eat You Up is looking to get back into position to get some kills. He can't get back onto that same high ground, but he can kind of stick around other parts of this fight, and picking off Delave even in an awkward spot is good news for him. Aita barely able to get topped off at the last minute there, and they pick Sayhadi. Now Eat You Up is able to get back onto this high ground, even as he is put asleep. That did not look like a comfortable sleep.
It wasn't also, it's kind of just a very quick nap.
Power nap. Well, Eat You Up after that power nap is feeling refreshed and rejuvenated and ready to headshot.
You must like me.
And the other thing is, even getting the sleep onto Eat Up there, you can't convert that into a kill. Not unless you have, I guess, Anakin would need to jump on Eat Up immediately and just land a bunch of headshots in a row. Speaking of headshots, Eat Up should be picking some of these up. Even though that last one wasn't technically a headshot,
he's receiving the blue beam, as it were, so he's doing fine.
Actually is, though, look.
Isn't it not just quicker to say damage boost?
It's the same amount of syllables, I'm sure.
Damage boost, receiving the blue beam. Dude, your math is weird.
No one can hide.
I don't know, blue beam is 2
sight.
syllables, just saying. Anyway.
Well, yeah, but like, not if you're receiving the blue beam.
Like, you might receive the blue beam pretty soon after this.
Excuse me?
Continue with that one.
What? I don't know what you meant. I'm so confused. I'm going home and going to sleep. I'm not playing Overwatch when I'm done. Jeez. But that's a lot of ultimates here for Blank in the back pocket. But Anakin's not giving them an opportunity to use them. Ooh, that is rough stuff for Blank. Not really getting any opportunities at all. Kiki going to try and keep this one alive and Eat You Up. Maybe he can get just enough picks. Anakin is kind of caught off the backside of this point right now as he's kind of staring at a damage boosted Trill. Gunda committing an ultimate there, getting the, there was onto Trill, of course. RQT has a Raze, which he might just try and dive in and use here if he really feels the need to. There it goes out, doesn't quite save Trill with it, but he gets the rest of his team, and they're actually well poised to kind of swing back and close out on DeToNator. Atar, especially on this high ground, helps with that. Anakin getting picked off, and suddenly DeToNator find themselves up a creek.
Wow, what was they doing there?
They find themselves up a creek without a paddle.
And still about to sit on the first, not even at 1 tick. I think they just managed to get themselves over 33%. But look, DeToNator haven't even successfully capped the first point yet. I said they weren't going to get the second one, but now I'm starting to think they're not realistically not going to get the first one either.
Certainly not looking that way at all. Not enough seconds left for it, even as they got a third. Oh, actually, never mind. Anakin trying to make it happen at the last minute here. No res this time for RQT, so he's just kind of jumping around to look pretty. They might actually get it. They are going to get it at the very last second.
Yeah, straight into overtime.
Don't know how they're going to get time to, though.
I think Blank wants to give that one go officially now. Yeah. I don't know if Eat Up wants to really stay on Widow here. I think what I mentioned earlier still will probably likely to be standing true here, which is Blank should be able to hold this one. And not a lot of time for DeToNator. If DeToNator, the only way I see DeToNator taking this is really to chip away and take it in thirds. And maybe this push will be able to get themselves the first third because they have a decent amount of ultimates. There's no EMP just yet. The timing for DeToNator, I would say, is right now.
There has been just enough time though for AVRL to get those health packs up. So that is the one thing they have in their favor, but no EMP yet anyway as Anakin comes in a swinging with the nano boost on him as well. Only closing out a couple of kills, but no answers back yet from Blank. They haven't got any kills in return. Still plenty of time for that defender's advantage to come through, but it's not like DeToNator have actually got that third just yet. In fact, they're kind of struggling to secure it already as Kiki with that health bar looking massive. He only got the one kill, but it was enough to kind of stall for time so that the respawns could come in now, and Blank ready to swing back through the sound barrier. DeToNator are just going to start exhausting their resources, throwing them time and time again into a defender's advantage. And even as more kills come through, this is still a Blank favored fight now. The tide has unequivocally shifted. Maybe a third comes through here now at last, but yeah, here's going to be a respawn now, the full respawn round from Blank.
No ultimates, ultimates for DeToNator that they will be able to contest here. Pulse Bomb looks like it got eaten. A great job coming out from Trill to be able to get that one done. I think DeToNator are going to have to back off here. As you said, Blank are able to get their full force out now. Full respawns and respawns, but the 1/3 that I said DeToNator was going to get, they did manage to get that. Now they're going to work on the second and eventually the third. They have about a minute left to get each one.
It's doable. It's potentially doable, especially with the ultimates they have available. Arguably, they're in the same position as a moment ago when they committed to a fight and got a third, but it is always a tough ask when it's against Blank.
I think this will go into overtime. If DeToNator are going to do this at all, it will be very much in the overtime, and then Blank will be able to come through with just one attack anyway in terms of the time bank. So DeToNator is I think it's going to end up being jumping out of the frying pan straight into the fire.
Yeah, Blank already have some ultimates kind of up for them. There's actually the third already come through for DeToNator. And now Blank are going to have to commit to this one as the sound barrier comes out, as does the boost onto Anakin now from DeToNator. So they're throwing everything themselves, but Blank haven't lost any members here. And they've held on to just enough ultimates, namely Kiki. They've got that extra health bar. And they've got a minute left as well. They should be able to stack up this EMP once again. And DeToNator with still an opportunity to get that last third, but it's going to be a tight hold. A tight grab, I mean.
Anakin as well, like a nano blade onto a nano boosted Winston is just not going to give you what you want at all there. A little bit of a waste of time for DeToNator. They've had to reset pretty much all of their ults. They do get the second, third, so like I said, used up a little bit more than a minute. This last now 37 seconds plus whatever time they get in time back. They will have to do their best to try and get the final third, but I think progress-wise, they are in a position where it is possible now to get it.
Potentially, Saihari throwing out the pulse bomb to find nothing, though, is not a good way to start it. They do actually pick off Gunba there, Samurai D committing to that one, but AVRL still not quite got the EMP, trying to get it desperately, as he's also trying to heal himself up, really needs to get it now. Any second now, surely, as Gunba coming back out of the gate with Soldier. DeToNator nearly had the cap, but there's the EMP at last as Kiki with the extra health bar, but they pick up AVRL already. DeToNator might actually just be able to do the Samurai D and still tap into that ultimate for the extra health bar. And they pick Kiki as well. Are we going to go to time bank here? Oh, no such luck as Anakin and Saihari get picked off. Blank ready to come back swinging. Samurai D finally digging deep to pull out that ultimate, but the respawns are able to come through still for Blank. They do pick off Gunba, but there should still be a couple more to come out of the gate here. It's going to be the D.Va on the point, and buying time is a fine thing to do here for Blank, because eventually they get a full round of respawns, and it'll be in the likes of Kiki staying alive on the point. Eat You Up can duck and weave on this one. He has an ultimate to commit if he wants. Does not quite find anything itself, but he does pick Samurai D, and here are these respawns coming through. That will be the overtime disappearing, and Blank do indeed secure the expected 3-0.
And just like I thought, you know, in terms of Eat Up in particular, I said this on Lijiang, but as soon as that was kind of a repeated fight, I almost think, from Nightmarker and Lijiang, where, you know, DeToNator were pretty close right at the end, but it doesn't matter how many kills they got, as long as they couldn't secure Eat You Up, the guy came back on Tracer and was able to out-damage everybody on the side of DeToNator. That's exactly what happened. He just murdered everybody.
That isn't the Tracer I expected to have play of the match, but you know what? Who am I to judge?
Good kills either way. I mean, this is it though. This is DeToNator able to pick up a decent amount of kills, but right at the end, defender's advantage or not, they couldn't secure the one kill, which I believe would have been the one to actually let them cap out.
Pretty much. I kind of want to dive into this and go, oh, well, what does this mean? What does this mean? What does this mean? But I think we already kind of know the answer. Like, it's hard to say, right? I mean, maybe DeToNator is a semi-kryptonite for Blank, because this was a shakier performance than what we would have expected from Blank, but it is also in line with their previous performance against DeToNator. And Blank have had better performances against other teams, and then also have lost games. Like, I don't even know if this is a matchup that can signal the respective strength of either of these teams anymore.
I mean, it's like, it's hard to say this is the kryptonite of Blank when technically I'm not going to count the official losses in just yet. I'm just going to count the very close games that Blank were not expected to lose to, because AHQ and Flash Wolves beating Blank is a lot more expected than, say, anything else. So realistically, when we look at this, Hong Kong Attitude still got that now you've mentioned previously already,
the infamous 5-game series.
5-game series, like you said. So that is a much more closer series than what we just saw. And I know this is not expected of Blank, but it is still a 3-0, just like the first time they faced DeToNator. And it's not a win. It is not a comfortable win for Blank at all. It's not like they totally smashed it out. It's not like what we saw from AHQ versus Fireball earlier on.
It's also, I mean, if we just look at each of the maps that we saw, Lijiang Tower, while there was moments for DeToNator to come back, still very one-sided to Blank. And even on the second map during that was just a 99-0, no question about it. Then we go to Numbani, and that is probably their weakest showing in this series, where they were almost full held on the first point. I think that's the one that we should really be talking about the most. And then Temple of Anubis, I feel like to some point they were even trying new things on that first point defense. Widowmaker with a Mercy. That's
not normal.
That's not normal. I'm not going to say they were having fun disrespecting the team, but it's maybe them bringing out, seeing if they can actually make this work in a very competitive environment.
Arguably similar to what Flash Wolves did on Friday, right? Where they definitely picked weird things against Sun Sister. And it's hard to call it cheesy because I don't think any team is really quite taking that sort of risk, but certainly it's trying different things in what they feel is a safer match, if you will.
Well, here's the difference between that and Friday, because Friday, Flash Wolves looked like they had moments where they were purposely not throwing, but purposely sort of just doing things that were uncanny, whereas Blank legitimately looked like, oh, we are going to still try and win here, but hey, that was a real mistake.
Sure. So anyway, with that, we do, of course, wrap up our second round robin. There we have it. We are at the halfway point.
Not technically, because
of the
Sun Sister still play DeToNator tomorrow.
Actually, you're quite right. There is one more game left, but in any case, we are pretty much done with our first round robin. Aside from that one game, which is, let's be frank, between the two bottom teams, and tomorrow does, of course, see the opening of round robin number 3. We're basically at the halfway point of this tournament. Let's take a quick look at the leaderboards and see where all these teams do stand. So, a bit of a different run up and down, really, compared to the first round robin.
No, Blank have one more game to go as well tomorrow, because they're still at 11-2 and not 12.
Guess who they play? They play Sun Sister.
That they do.
Well, I guess they're going to go 11-3 then.
Yeah, clearly. But it's interesting, isn't it? So, first round robin, Blank went undefeated. This one, AHQ have gone undefeated. And the top 3 has not changed. What has changed? 4th place is looking a little bit more in contention. Neither team looks like they can quite break top 3. Fireball are struggling to push further up in the rankings, and the 2 Japanese teams are still bottoming out.
Yeah, it's something to be said when Fireball is struggling to get into that 5th place spot.
The top 5.
The top 5, but they are still miles ahead of both the bottom 2 teams. That's quite disheartening. And
these are very stratified standings.
These are, you can almost break these into tiers, where top 3 is a tier of their own. Hong Kong Attitude through to Fireball, those 3 teams are kind of sitting in a tier of their own in terms of pure wins here as well, because there's a big gap between Fireball and DeToNator, and soon to be, well, it's actually now a very big gap between Hong Kong Attitude and Flash Wolves of 4 wins as well.
Yeah, well, in any case, that is pretty much where these teams stand. And I mean, aside from something absolutely crazy tomorrow, I think we're going to see the standings pretty much continue to be that way. I mean, the weirdest thing that could possibly happen is instead of being tied for 1st, Blank would be tied for 2nd. And that's not really, I mean, it would be absurd because of who they would have lost to, sure, but in terms of where it actually reflects in the standings, it's not too significant a difference, let's be completely honest. As far as actually making top 3 goes, it's not going to jeopardize you. It is going to mean there are things you need to address when you hit playoffs, but it's not going to jeopardize your ability to get there.
Round two, though. Round two has made the Pacific Championship so much more entertaining, though. All those matchups.
Well, I like to think it was a little bit entertaining before that, but
yes.
But in any case, congratulations to IE2up. Be able to pick up that player of the game specifically for that Widowmaker performance. And I'm actually not too surprised by that because he did also play it really well. When he did get dove, the team reacted around it very nicely, and he was getting enough consistent picks for it to be worthwhile.
Yeah, I would have personally picked Tracer still just because of how consistent and how dominant it is, but I can definitely see the Widow in there. It's something a little bit different that you do want to just give him a bit of a hand on, say great job on that one, but realistically, the anchor pick for not just IEU but for all of Blank, I think is specifically his Tracer.
No disagreement. I mean, the only other option is what? Genji, and I don't think we're going to be picking that. So yeah, I mean, Tracer, eat you up. It's been fantastic. And the only one who really holds a candle to him, a little bit higher I'd say, would be Bacon Jack from the Flash Wolves, but eat you up definitely puts everyone else just not to shame, but definitely gives them a real run for their money.
I kind of think he puts them to shame.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say he puts them to shame.
I'm trying to be nice.
He really does.
This is like coming from the guy who out of nowhere called out Muselk earlier tonight, like for no good reason.
That was a meme.
Like now you're just trying to redeem yourself. Like I'm going to be nice. I'm going to be nice now. But so yeah, that's a completely fair assessment of I Eat You Up, and I feel like there's a bit of a difference here as well between currently these top three teams and how their quote-unquote superstar players interact with the team compared to these other teams, and that when I Eat You Up suddenly pulls it out and absolutely carries through a fight, you're like, wow, that was fantastic. But it's not like they're losing fights when he doesn't do that. And same is true of, say, Flash Wolves and Zonda, or AHQ and Dizzy, right? Sometimes they have these shining moments, but when you compare that to, say, Fireball on Apudo, they win when Apudo plays well, and then if he doesn't, they are actually struggling to win fights altogether. So that is one of the big things that is kind of differentiating these teams. With that, we are going to go ahead and have a quick interview with Blank, and I think we may be with Ata.
That's Trill.
Trill, it is indeed Trill.
Hello。
Adam
那我们现在问一下，因为我知道Trill以前是玩坦克的，然后后来他开始接触了原氏。从初登场的时候，其实表现就是一直都是普普通通，但后来每一周其实都进步神速。想知道他是怎么在调整这方面的。
Ever since you started playing Genji, you've been improving progressively every week. How do you practice?
I just play him a lot, that's about it. Just play him in scrims whenever. Just try to watch like other really high rated Genjis, like Who Are You, like the other really top rated Bird Ring and stuff. Watch their Genjis, see what they do, that I can improve on, watch my own povs. But yeah, I'm glad people are actually noticing my Genji's getting better. Feels good.
他团练的时候，他就抓紧所有的机会玩原氏。他自己在排的时候也是会玩原氏，然后他也会去找其他高端原氏的影片，比如说 Lunatic High 的 Who Are You， 或者是 Contra Panthera 的 Bedring 来看。然后他很高兴说，大家有注意到他的原氏越来越厉害了。
有，因为其实选手努力是非常的明显。刚刚分析台大家有在讨论。那么他之前呢有说过自己的队友 ATA 的法拉很普通，可他今天有上highlight，是不是可以也夸奖一下队友啊？
In the first week, you called out ATA's Farah, but today he got play of the game. Are you going to say anything about that?
This Farah's getting better. He got revenge on Anakin, which I probably wanted because Anakin destroyed him in week 1. My Farah's still better, but.
他是表示说，他很高兴 ATA 有机会对 Anakin 报仇，因为第一周时候 Anakin 的法拉那个击败了他，所以他很高兴有这个机会，但是他是觉得他的法拉比较厉害。
还是一样，去我的法拉就是比较强的那种感觉啦，因为当然嘛，自己之前的 man 角啦。那再来是想问一下战术的部分，在Numbani这张图中，其实可以看到很多队伍很喜欢用托比昂来守 A 点，但我发现 Blank 体系好像不是很喜欢，没有想要尝试对不对
？Watching other teams playing Numbani defense, they've been running Torbjorn, and we don't do it. Why is that?
Well, Drew is only good at Lucia, so that's it. We can't run it. Because you just run it, Drew sucks at everything, and Drew's our cutie. He's only good at Lucia.
他是表示说RQT 那个最擅长的英雄就是路修，没有别的了，所以就是让他继续担任路修的位置。
队友角色池的问题啦，那没办法，反正也不符合他们的体系嘛。反正目前现在体系感觉也蛮适合 Blank 的。那最后呢，再问一下神庙这张图里面，其实很久没有看到他拿 Diva 了，好像之前都是看到 Kiki 玩嘛，今天怎么会突然选择 Diva？
Usually Diva is being picked by Kiki. Why are you on Diva?
With the new comp that we run, I have to play Genji, and like I have to switch between the Diva and the Genji, and Kiki doesn't he can't play Genji at all. So it's hard for us to switch. If he plays a Diva, we both have to switch from Monkey to Diva, and it's just really annoying, and it's a lot harder.
就是以我们现在阵容的话，如果我们要选择互换角色的话，比如说从3输出到2输出，换的地方是从原氏换成 Diva， 或是这样子互换。如果是由他玩巫师队的话，他这样子的话就比较尴尬。而且 Kiki 不太玩原氏，所以我们是保持 Kiki 在那个温斯顿上面的话，这样 Q 的话就可以从那个原氏跟 Diva 之间互换。
算是角色配置的一个考量啦。那今天玩 Diva 的时候，还有注意到，Urab 在玩那个夺命女的时候，他在狙击的时候，你怎么一直去挡你的队友的狙击镜啊？
So when I was playing Widowmaker on Anubis, why were you just like standing next to him blocking his vision?
I was just messing around, like trying to have fun. Like I knew he was doing it, and like every time I did it, he would be like on the microphone. Wait, what are you doing? Like trying to get me away. Like I was just messing around, having fun, just annoying him.
他只是想要闹他一下，好玩的。
好了，那无论如何还是恭喜你们获得今天的胜利了。那接下来进入沙发区，会有第一天更深入的访谈哟。
Well, there we have it. Thoughts from the man himself, memes and all. That's Trill.
Messing around in front of Widowmaker, risky business.
Crazy guy. What a madman. Totally calling out his support as well. Even gave his real name. Privacy is dead.
Oh, yeah, that's tough.
His real name, RQT.
Yeah, the real name. Yeah,
his real.
Drew's real name is RQT. I'm always going to think of him now as R-Drew T. Which sounds like a really weird flavor of tea.
I'm sure he'd love that though.
All right, that was a very personal assessment of the guy. He'd love that. Yeah, I know Drew. He'd like that. He'd like that. He'd appreciate it. Well, that's kind of them. That's kind of Blank. I mean, through and through. That's the attitude they very much take into this, right? They are players that know each other a lot. They have played together for a very long time now, and they have this real camaraderie. And one of the things we've kind of talked about with this team is, compared to some of the other teams that have a much wider support staff, it seems the one thing that Blank are always able to fall back on is a really strong, really positive team mentality. It's really great to still see that shining through at the end now of the second round robin, or nearly the end, where they have actually picked up losses and where they have really faced those questions of, can they recover, and then can they maybe even get ahead of the pack again?
Yeah, pretty much. I think tomorrow is going to be really important because Blank take on AHQ. And while Egtar got his personal revenge on Anakin in the Pharaoh duel, are Blank going to get a revenge on AHQ for that 3-2 victory that HQ got off them? We'll find out.
They want to get maybe a 3-2 victory of their own, or ideally a 3-0. So there we go. That's going to be that for tomorrow. Gentlemen, do we have any final thoughts on the night?
DeToNator versus Sun Sister.
Hyped.
The other hyped match of the day.
Totally. I mean, on a serious note, like this is the best time to watch the teams in action to see how much they really have improved on either side.
And maybe Sun Sister get a win this time.
Well, I mean, look, I think Sun Sister have improved more than DeToNator have.
Two Japanese teams are win trading.
yeah, that's
win trading. That's how you climb. You win trade at the bottom of the table. But, I
think that would just lock them both at the bottom of the table.
Yeah, it kind of would. But in any case, well, that is going to be that for tonight, and those are some of what we have coming up tomorrow. We have the end of this second round robin. Time flies when you're having fun. And we will, of course, see the opening of the third round robin with a couple of title bouts as well. So definitely tune in for that. But in any case, we are all wrapped up for tonight. So thank you very much for tuning in. On behalf of myself, Matt Pixie Carroll, the two gentlemen here joining me on the desk, Kevin Avril Walker and Matt Smite Ross, and of course, Dallas Easy Fight Teddy, who hosted you earlier tonight. From all of us here at the Full Circle production team, thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful night.